host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, aka Kat, co-author of the new released Amazon #1 bestseller, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases by Inner Tradition, Simon & Schuster. Tonight is the 4th of a 5-part series that will air live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time in May, and the first week, Tuesday, June the 5th in June, on the Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos public page on Facebook. It's going to be focusing on the International Association for the Study of Dreams, aka IASD, and their upcoming event June 16th in Scottsdale, Arizona at the beautiful Doubletree Resort Paradise Valley. Each show you will meet the keynote and featured speakers, panelists, and presenters. The shows are archived on the Facebook page, The Kat Kanavos Show. We have 3 great guests with us tonight. Actually, we're going to see 2 of them, and the third one couldn't make it because she's actually in Sweden, I believe. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning for her, which was going to be very difficult because she still is teaching. So I would like to tell you about Katja, who will not be on the show with us tonight, but she will be at the IASD convention in Scottsdale, Arizona on June the 16th. And Katja Valli is a doctor, and she's also a senior researcher at the University of Turku, Finland, and a lecturer in cognitive neuroscience at the University of Skovde, Sweden. Her research focuses on the simulation theories of the evolutionary function of dreaming and the content, excuse me, and neural correlations of consciousness and dreaming. So needless to say, she is going to have a brilliant speech for us at the IASD. So make sure you go there, make sure you go in and see her. Our show guests that we do have with us today, and I am going to have them all say their names for you again because I know I'm just going to butcher them, is Fariba Bogzaran. Dr. Fariba Bogzaran. She's a scientist, artist, author, founder of the first graduate certificate Dream Studies program in 1996 at John F. Kennedy University at Berkeley, California, where she taught for 25 years. She is a co-author of 2 academic books on dreams, Extraordinary Dreaming and Integral Dreaming, both published by Suny, S-U-N-Y. She is the founding director of the Lucid Art Foundation, and there is going to be an art show at the IASD. Artwork on dreams. It's beautiful. Every single year I've seen them. They're just breathtaking. Our second guest tonight is Katie Mason, and she is from Denver, Colorado. She started studying dreams about powerful lucid dream work in her private practice, and then she started using it with her clients. But Katie is also a speaker and a performer. She combines spoken word poetry, storytelling, and humor to creatively express her dreams. Welcome to the show, both of you. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for inviting us.
So, Farbia, would you please tell us your name?
You did very well. It's Fariba Bogzaran.
Okay. And Katie, I didn't do too badly on yours, right?
Nope, you got it just right.
Great. Okay, I'm going to be asking you both the same questions because I know the answers are going to be different. And that way our audience can get to know you a little bit better. This is a live audience and they're all tuning in now. So let's start with you, Fariba. What got you started in dreams and dreaming?
Well, it's a personal experience first. I was an avid dreamer when I was very young, and I had a series of what now we call it extraordinary dreams. I had precognitive dreams that I remember when I was 4 years old, and communicated that with my mother and talked to her about it. And then in my teenage time, I was very, very interested in a variety of dreams, but I became a spontaneous lucid dreamer when I was younger. So my inner life became very interesting to me. So I spent quite a bit of time exploring it. And then, of course, I wanted to go and study it more professionally, but in those days there was nothing out there to study. But I started first in biology, and then when I went to psychology, and then dream science, and then moved my way up to study dream studies and focus on that.
Great. If you guys hear buzzing, it's because the Facebook page is going nuts. They're buzzing me with questions on my phone. So if you see me suddenly look down, it's because I'm looking at the questions you're sending me on Facebook, and I will ask our audience. So let me ask you the same question, Katie, because that is amazing that Fariba started out as a 4-year-old with precognitive dreams. I mean, that's really amazing. So tell us how you got started into dreams and what interested you about dreams.
Sure. I mean, I was always a really active dreamer, even when I was younger, but it probably wasn't until I was 20, so about almost 20 years ago, I had a really powerful lucid dream that happened 2 weeks after the death of my mother. And in that dream, I hugged her, I spoke with her, and ever since then, I was just awed by dreams and curious about them and felt the healing benefits of dreaming. And so I pursued my own studies, and then eventually went to graduate school to study counseling in a program that had an emphasis in Jungian psychology and dreamwork. So I was able to also study it academically as well, and then took it to my private practice with clients.
So I'm going to ask you both this question too. Do you find that you have visitations in your dreams from deceased loved ones, and do you find that with your clients as well? Do they have the same thing, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just my grandfather passed in October, and about a month before he passed, I had a dream of my great uncle reminding me of a gift that I had been meaning to send my grandfather, but had put off. And so the next day I sent it to him, and I'm really glad I did, because he passed not too far after. So yes, that definitely shows up in my dreams and with clients as well.
And so what about you, Fariba? I'm sure I'm never saying that right, but Fariba.
You did it beautifully. Yes, visitation dream. Actually, the book I co-authored with the Stanley Krippner, Extraordinary Dreams, we have a whole chapter on visitation dreams. And personally, I've had the experience, my students have had the experience of visitation. And in particular, in my lucid dream classes, many people have incubated lucid dreams in which they were having experiences of visiting the deceased relative. Very, very powerful experiences.
Do you find that this really helps people get through the grieving process?
Absolutely, absolutely, because the experience within lucid dreaming, it's sometimes as real as waking. Sometimes it's much more enhanced. And in one situation where someone had lost her father very, very young, and had a lucid dream and had this visitation dream, and little by little they came closer and closer together, and finally they embraced, and that totally transformed her life. She's public, she's known, Patricia Keelan, who is totally dedicated in lucid dreaming and works with the Stephen LaBerge in many of their retreats. She had that lucid dream in my class, I think it was 1986. It was quite powerful.
That's a great story. And Katie, what about you with your clients? Do you find that when they have these visitations from loved ones who have passed over, does that help them through the grieving process?
Absolutely. I think it's amazing how much they can shift and open up from just one dream experience versus, sessions of trying to talk through something. So I see it sort of expedite their healing. And they tend to feel sort of more at peace and at ease with loss in general. That's been my personal experience as well. In that one dream I mentioned about my mother, it was like so much. I mean, I woke up crying. It was very emotional, but it was so cathartic because I didn't feel like I got to say goodbye to her in waking life. But in the dream, I felt I got to hug her and say goodbye, and it was really therapeutic for me.
Oh, Katie, your dream is so similar to mine. My mother died 6 months before I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she came to me in a dream before I had the nightmares telling me I had cancer. And she took my hands in her hands and she said, "You are going to be just fine." And I woke up thinking, well, why wouldn't I be just fine? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm healthy. And then the nightmares started that were telling me that I had breast cancer. And then 3.5 months later, when I finally convinced my doctors to do exploratory surgery, they found that I was in stage 2 with it in my lymph nodes. And I was scared out of my mind until I remembered my mother, who had died 6 months earlier, coming into my dreams and taking my hands and saying, "You're going to be just fine." And suddenly, not only did the dream show me that my mom was okay, but it reassured me that I was going to be okay too. So Fariba, what are you going to be talking about at the IASD? What are you going to be presenting on? That would just came up here.
The title of my presentation is Dream Incubation and Creative Consciousness. I will be doing a summary of my research in dream studies. I did I believe it was the first dream incubation study on spiritual experiences and lucid dreaming. This was 30 years ago. But I continued those studies, evolved it into different modalities. So I will talk about the summary of that, and then I will sort of fast forward to what I'm doing currently. But I'm very interested in the intersection between dreaming and the waking consciousness. So what I will be talking about is how intentionality, putting intention in our mind before falling asleep, how that impacts our dreams, and how creative action can be a facilitator for getting more insight into the dream. And then there is this kind of an intersection between the dreaming mind and the waking mind, and how this interplay can happen between the two. So I will be using some of my art-based research that I've been doing, and also some case study of my own work and how I have been able to do this dialogue between the dreaming and the waking and the creative process. So that's what's going to be the summary of it.
That sounds so exciting, because I have to tell you, there's nothing more exciting, and somebody else mentioned that in here. You see my phone keeps lighting up and beeping. Someone said that when you are dreaming and then you wake up and you see something from your dream in your waking world, it like makes you stop. So it's like, when you have a dream and then you come back into the waking world and there it is.
Right.
It's that validation.
Quite a bit, and the whole synchronicity, why synchronicities are happening like that, and how this relationship is very, very important. So I will be talking about that in IASD at my keynote.
Great. And Katie, what about you? What are you going to be presenting on?
So mine is a creative event, and I am, as you sort of mentioned in my intro, I'm pairing storytelling, spoken word or slam poetry, and humor, comedy with my dream images. So essentially I take dream images and then I sort of express them creatively to share sort of my own story of personal self-discovery. So it's been likened to sort of like a one-woman show. I've done it the last 2 years at the IASD conference. So it's just me really being my authentic creative self and telling my story of growth through dream images.
Great. So Katie, how can our audience find you, find out more about you?
All my information is at katiemason.com. That's my website, KATIEMASON.com. And they could also find me on Facebook as well.
Okay, great. And Fariba, Fariba, how can we find you?
Fariba.
Fariba.
My website is faribabogzaran.com. The books and publications are there. And then also I'm on Facebook. If people want to connect me through Facebook, if they can write me a little note that you've seen me in this program. And so I have a little bit of a context. That's how I put my events or lectures, and I also in the fall I'll be giving a lecture, not a lecture, it's actually a whole course on the arts and science of lucid dreaming, and I've been doing this at the Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco for many years. So that's happening in the fall. So if people are interested in that, they can connect with CIIS.
Okay, and how can they find your books that you've done?
They can just search Amazon or go to my website on the publication. Most of them are there, selected works, but major works are there, and then they can find it on Amazon.
Great, great. And I swear your background looks like mine. I love books. Fariba, if you wanted to leave the audience with one last thought about dreams, what would it be?
Well, I'm a little bit traditional when it comes to dreams, because I like to work with one dream for a long time. Usually people like to work with many dreams. I would leave the audience with, if you have an impactful dream, if you have an extraordinary dream, see it as a flower that unfolds, and keep working on it and keep working on it. It might take a week, it might take a month, it might take years to really get inside the core of what this dream is about. So I would say that working on one dream for a long period of time, it really bears fruit, and one can see the transformation when one is working with one dream.
Oh, I love that. And Katie, what about you? What is the one thought that you'd like to leave our audience with concerning dreams?
You know, I think that in my own exploration of doing these sort of dream performances, as I call them, I'm really learning that how powerful our dreams are when they are shared in community, especially when you really own some part of yourself that has been challenging to own, and you do the personal work. I love what Fariba said about taking time to dive in to the depths of maybe one image or one dream. It's sort of quality over quantity, because you get saturated with so much material in your dreams, it's easy to get lost. So I really like to sort of focus on a few images, dive deep, and then share them publicly as a way to sort of own and anchor myself into the image, and it's really powerful.
Mm. Well, I want to thank you both, Fariba and Katie. I think I'm finally getting your name right now, Fariba. You and Katie, for being on the show with us tonight. And this show is going to be archived on the Kat Kanavos Show Facebook page if anybody wants to go in there and share it. It's also going to be on iHeartRadio and iTunes, and I will send all of you those links through Athena. So thank you again for being on the show tonight. Everybody watching, make sure you come to the IASD June 16th in Scottsdale, Arizona, and you can go onto the IASD website to find out more information. Until next week, our last show with the IASD group. I'll see you then. Sometimes it takes her a while to turn us off, so we just kind of chat. It's like outtakes, you know, where they get all the funny stuff.
Thank you for your invitation.